Okay. So, hello everybody. My name is Adrian Ramos. I'm from Spain. I would like to thank you all for joining this marvelous event today. I'm here to talk to you about three main things. The first one is going to be renewable energy. The second one is Omron, which is a company I'm part of. And the third one are some smart technologies that we foresee will have a strong impact into our future. So let's get started with a quick, personal introduction. So that guy that appears in this picture happens to be myself. That was 7 years ago, and it was taken in a PV plant at the south of Italy, in Puglia. This picture is very remarkable for me because it was the very first time I visited a PV site. And let's say since then, I've been committed to the renewable energy and to the solar industry. In particular, I've been committed to the provision of solar-related products and services across 5 different countries: Spain, Italy, France, Bulgaria, and now the US. And yeah, before getting into the details, I would like to say that I've been working for a small company as well. It is not only Amram. That company was eventually sold to a public conglomerate. And I would like also to say that I have created 2 startups. So that's something that I'm not going to talk about today. But I look forward to come next year and talk about how to keep up with your own startup and a corporate job if the organization of PODIM invites me next year. So, Omron. Omron is a highly diversified technology group. I hold the position in Omron of senior business developer for the environmental solution business. And as you may see in this slide, well, it's a big company, international reach, over 6 billion euro sales per year. I would like to mention at this point that this is the 3rd time I visit Slovenia, and that the 2nd time I visit the country, it was for kicking off a business relationship with a Slovenian company, which I thank for inviting us today here in Maribor. So let's have a quick look at the products that we have in Amram. So here you can see a Delta robot, which is part of our industrial automation business. Then you can see a PV inverter. For those of you who are not familiar to the PV technology, I can tell you that a PV solar technology is composed by mainly 2 products. One of them is the solar generator, solar panels, as you may know, and the other one is the PV inverter. So the PV inverter is transforming the DC power from the modules into AC power to be injected in the grid. Then we have a self-navigating autonomous indoor vehicle, which is used to move materials in challenging environments. I would like to say that this particular robot is present in Tesla's Gigafactory, for those of you who are interested in new technology. So we have these products in Nevada. And then we have a blood pressure monitor. This is a flagship product of our healthcare division. And I would say that these 4 products represent our 4 business domains today and in the future. They are automation, energy management, mobility, and healthcare. I would like to end up this quick outlook at Omron with this particular technology. It's very interesting for me. It's a human recognition technology. So the technology is able to identify the gender and the age of a particular individual. I can tell you that I tried out myself last year, and it was pretty funny. For the gender, it was OK. And for the age, the technology gave me 34 years old. So by that time, I was 29. Of course, there's still room for improvement. But I think that it's a pretty good job from our engineers. And now, let's talk about energy. So I would like to start by telling you something about our energy past. The humankind has always been struggling for using more energy. This is not something new. By looking into the history, it seems reasonable to divide the evolution of the human species into 5 energy eras. The first energy era started more than 300,000 years ago and continued until 10,000 years ago. During that time, all the efforts to control greater energy flows were limited by the power of the human body and the inefficient use of fire. Then, we discovered how to domesticate animals and use fire to produce the first metals and other materials. We got into the second era. We had to wait until the 9th century to start using sustainable energy by means of the first water wheels and windmills. We were entering into the third era. The fourth energy era allowed us to substitute the prime movers such as the horses and the low-powered water wheels by engines powered by biomass and fossil fuels. The last energy era, the fifth one, has been underway since the introduction of the electricity in the 19th century. And since that time, we have been increasing our consumption of fossil fuels to produce more electricity. And that brings us to the present, when more than 80% of the world's primary energy supply comes from fossil fuels, such as gas, oil, and coal. We can say that today, we are basically addicted to the fossil fuels. So improving the quality of life has been the principal benefit of this hunt of a higher energy use. In particular, the fossil fuels have been the largest opportunity to increase our food harvest, abundance of educational health opportunities, and vastly enhanced personal mobility. A higher energy use has allowed us to strongly increase the population on Earth and has multiplied our economic growth by 60 times over the last 200 years. And all this would be just great if there would be no consequences of using the energy contained in the fossil fuels. But they are. As you all might know, one of the major consequences to be addicted to the fossil fuels is that we are releasing greenhouse gases to the atmosphere. So that as a result of the emissions of greenhouse gases, the planet is warming up. So there is a problem, a big problem, the largest one ever. The melting of the poles is just one of the consequences of the global warming, but there are others you are probably familiar with, such as the sea level rise, hurricanes becoming more frequent and intense, more droughts, etc. However, I feel there is part of a story that it has been often overlooked when we talk about the fossil fuels. So I want to represent the burden of fossil fuels to a society by using 3 tangible arguments. The first one is related to the burden of fossil fuels to our economies. So today, 73% of the primary energy consumed in Europe comes from fossil fuels, and we need to import 73% of those fossil fuels from the foreign countries. That generates a trade deficit of more than 400 billion euro per year. In other words, every time we fill the tank of our cars, we are sending a check to the countries supplying the petrol, a check that otherwise would have stayed at home, fostering on our economy. Then we have the externalities. What are they? The externalities are the environmental costs for the society which are not included in the cost of energy. The classic example for the external cost of energy is that of a private owner of a coal power plant paying for coal, labor, and other inputs and charging for the energy sold, but not bearing a cost for the damages to health and nature caused by the air pollution the power plant emits. These external costs are borne by the society as a whole. So in order to quantify these external costs, the European Commission ordered a study in 2014, and here you go what they come up with. The results show total external costs in 2012 for the EU 28 of approximately 199 billion euro just for that year. And there is more. This is the saddest part of the story. It has to do with death. This is a very sensitive topic. According to the European Environment Agency, there are more than 400,000 premature deaths due to air pollution in Europe every year. I don't know how you feel about this figure, but first time I heard about, I was devastated. I was so shocked that I researched a tangible way for the people to easily grasp how important the consequences of air pollution are. So I came up with a number of car fatalities happened in Slovenia in 2012, and there were 130. If you look at the air pollution premature deaths figures given by the European Agency in Slovenia in 2012, you have more than 1,700. Therefore, for every car fatality you have in this country, you have more than 10 premature deaths due to air pollution every year. But not all is bad news. There is still a way to keep a high energy use, our quality of life, and do not destroy the life on Earth. We just need to get rid of fossil fuels and move towards renewable energy and electrification. Until recently, renewable energies need to be subsidized to compete with the energy produced by fossil fuels. But that's not longer the case. As you might see in this chart, published last year by a recognized financial advisor firm, renewable energy, and particularly solar and wind, are already cheaper than gas. Sorry. Here you can see the gas. Here you can see wind, solar, and solar. But there's more. Competitive energy is not the only benefit of renewable energy. As you may know, wind and sunlight are just free, which means that most of the costs associated to the renewable energy are spent upfront over the manufacturing and deployment of such technologies. That brings a huge local opportunity for the technology and manufacturing hubs, such as Slovenia, to foster their economies. Now, the energy can be manufactured in-house. We don't need to depend on third parties to keep our lives and economies up. So what's this? This is a picture of a residential area in Japan. Now, I want to share with you the story of Omron and the renewable energy in Japan. For a number of reasons, Japan has enjoyed a rapid development of renewable energy within its territory over the last years. Omron has strongly participated in the renewable energy transition by designing and manufacturing more than 40% of the photovoltaic residential inverters deployed in Japan so far. That means over 1 million inverters deployed. In this chart, you can see the accumulated power deployed by Omron over the last 20 years. This 6.5 gigawatts of renewable power deployed is particularly remarkable because most of the power has been distributed across residential and small commercial rooftops. The energy produced by Omron's inverters sustains the electricity needs of more than 6 million people in Japan. It is good to note the fact that the distributed energy is produced at the point where it is consumed, and therefore, the losses due to the transportation and distribution of electricity are minimized. On the other hand, increasing the penetration of distributed renewable sources poses other threats to the grid that have been resolved by making use of innovative technologies, such as storage, the control of the grid frequency, and the aggregation of solar assets. I would like now to make a remark on why Omron has participated in this revolution in Japan. Since the beginning, Omron has been committed to the society, enabling the transformation of the energy mix with energy technologies that has been designed and manufactured locally and are clean and respectful with the environment. And this is very much in line with our mission: to improve lives and contribute to a better society. This is the DNA of Omron, and it is something all the colleagues I've met in the company agree with. Our mission is stated in all and each of our business cards, and believe me when I tell you that we really mean it. The renewable energy represents one of the largest challenges for the society to overcome the age of fossil fuels, and that's why Omron is fully committed with it. So I'd like to now share with you a few smart home technologies of our interest. The first one is for sure the photovoltaic technology. At Omron, we have been working for many years in the development of PV inverters, and we are precisely innovating with unique power electronics topologies that reduce the degradation of the PV systems. We are also committed to develop our module-level power electronics lineup in order to increase the safety and flexibility of the PV sites. Storage. The second smart technology for the households is the storage. Especially for systems with high electricity prices and low solar rates, we find a big opportunity for the batteries to be integrated in the households. In addition to that, the price of the battery is decreasing rapidly, which increases the value every day. We also have the home appliances. The operation of smart home appliances can be scheduled so that they work when the price of the electricity is cheap or when we have solar power. This minimizes the electricity bill paid by the end customers. This is a heat pump, and it is used to produce heat and air conditioning. The heat consumption can reach more than 50% of the energy household consumption. Therefore, we foresee a clear opportunity to come in the field of highly efficient and smart heat pumps. And finally, we have the grid. The high penetration of distributed renewable energy will change the grid forever. Therefore, we foresee new business models related to the aggregation of distributed assets, the demand response, the ancillary services provided by the distributed energy, and the trading of electricity as 4 big and solid opportunities for the grid of the future. But none of the pieces of this puzzle could work alone. The real synergy becomes real when we put all the pieces together to exchange not only energy, but information across the devices generating and consuming electricity. So you see that brain? We have named it as the energy controller. And it is coming very soon. The energy controller will be the mastermind of the entire smart homes and will decide upon the operation of each device while trading electricity to optimize technically and economically your system. With this slide, I have almost finished my presentation, but I would like to finalize it conveying a message for you all. So, to the doers and innovators who are developing new technologies, to the suppliers of funds who back the best idea, to the influencers who activate, empower, and spread the potential of renewable energy and smart technologies. Don't miss the largest opportunity for innovation and entrepreneurship ever. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So we have one or two questions. I think we have time for one or two questions. So what we'll do is, and the first one is economic. There you go. Economic interests on petroleum are so strong that will be the biggest obstacle for green energy. Do you agree? So the economic interest and everything petrol-related will kind of hinder any form of development.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's going to be a burden for us. The idea is to beat the oil on price, so that if you beat the petroleum on price, they will have to find another way around to beat you, because, you know, if you're cheaper than gas and than oil, you have won a battle, at least in a market free, right?
Hopefully.
Yes.
Will this great amount of silicon be reused and recycled to produce new panels, or will it become garbage?
Yeah, I think that in Europe we have different plants for recycling panels. It's kind of a mandatory thing. So every single PV panel that you have, you should follow recycling. And for sure, all the materials comprising the panel are recycled, like the aluminum frames, silicon cells, even, you know, sliver, copper. So it's all recycled and clean.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Cheers, Adrian. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.